What's going on YouTube? It's your boy CamATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In yesterday's video when I was breaking down week 3 NFL, I had family over so I made it quick. In this video we're going to be going through everybody on the slate, touching on our top picks, touching on games that you want to get involved with, all types of good shit. So definitely stay tuned for that. The winner of the giveaway, I didn't get to mention that yesterday. The winner of the giveaway is Angela Delgado. So Angela, hit me up on Twitter at Cam_ATL or email me dfssquadcam@gmail.com. But one giveaway ends and another begins. As you guys know, I've given away 2 copies of Madden 18 since the start of the NFL season. And now we're going to do another one. A game called NBA 2K18 just came out. So I want to give away a copy of that now. All right. All you got to do to get NBA 2K18 or the equivalent cost of NBA 2K18. So either you get NBA 2K18 or you can get $50. Like the video down below. Comment DFS Squad giveaway in the comment section. And you will be entered. For every time that you do that on one of my videos throughout the week, I will enter your name into the drawing another time. So good luck, everybody. NBA 2K18 is actually super sick. I've been playing it nonstop since it came out. So you guys definitely want to get in on that. It's super cool. Or if you just want the 50, that's cool too. It is what it is. Just let me know if you end up being the winner. Just let me know which one you want. We are going to dig into this slate now. Week 2 was great, but it's time to move on to week 3. Another episode of the Fantasy Locker Room podcast will be dropping tomorrow on Wednesday. Sometime Wednesday, we will be dropping the episode. So definitely go to SoundCloud and follow the podcast on there, The Fantasy Locker Room. All right, we're going to be breaking down week 3 even more, me and my co-host. So it's going to be great. Everybody loves the podcast so far. So definitely go check that out to get even more news. Let's get straight into this slate, man. We're killing MLB right now. It's time to go ahead and buckle down and focus on NFL for week 3. All right, week 2 was great. It was very profitable, but it's time to get on to week 3. All right, let's start off at quarterback, guys. We got Tom Brady at the top of this list going against the Houston Texans. Houston has not been playing good at all. Do I expect Tom Brady to score? Of course. He's Tom Brady, but he's 7,700, and there's other options on this slate that I think have just as much upside as he does that's cheaper. See, here's the thing with Tom Brady. He averages a little over 17 fantasy points a game against Houston the last 2 years, okay? I need a little more than that for his cost. And there's guys on this slate that you can also pay for that are cheaper that are going to do better than that. So when it comes to Tom Brady, I am going to be skipping him. There are much better matchups to go ahead and target. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay going against Cincinnati. This is not a bad play. Cincinnati has been so bad, though, that the question is, can they get that offense going? If they can, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw more. If they can't, Ty Montgomery is going to get involved a lot here. The way I see it, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are 8.5-point favorites. So they're big favorites with Vegas. I expect this to be a Ty Montgomery game. I see it the way Vegas sees it. I think I see Green Bay getting up quick here, and a lot of Ty Montgomery, who has looked amazing this year, by the way. Wide receiver turned running back. He has looked great. It's amazing how he's able to transfer and really be that good at running back as well. It's awesome. But yeah, this is going to be a Ty Montgomery game at most off. So there's other guys that I like in this slate more. Next up, Drew Brees going against Carolina. One thing about Carolina is their secondary has got worse since they lost Norman, but they're still only ranked 17th in the league when it comes to their secondary. All right, New Orleans is not a favorite in this game, so New Orleans will be down. Okay, I definitely expect New Orleans to be down in this one. If Cam Newton happens to have to miss time, though, he's banged up right now. If Cam Newton happens to miss time, then it's going to be the other way around. I think New Orleans wins this game if Cam Newton ends up missing this game, but we'll just have to see. But Drew Brees in this matchup, like I said, there's other options that are better. honestly, in my opinion, than going against Carolina and testing that defense. They're not that bad. The secondary hasn't been as good since Josh Norman left, but still, they still have been holding teams to a very low amount this year so far. And on top of that, Drew Brees is averaging a lot less points when he plays outdoors than at home. So that's something to definitely keep in mind as well. He plays worse when he's in a field that is outside instead of covered. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. That's something that's been throughout his career. He has been noticeably better inside. So definitely keep that in mind with Drew Brees as well. Next up, my boy Matt Ryan going against Detroit. Now, this is a good matchup. Detroit's ranked 25th in the league right now with their secondary. They haven't been able to stop anybody. They do have a great cornerback named Darius Slay, but the thing with that is that even if Darius is able to slow down Julio even a little bit, which nobody can, Julio is he's a machine. He's an alien. He's ridiculous. So I expect Matt Ryan and the Falcons to move the ball pretty easily here in this dome in Detroit. Detroit's a good team I love targeting quarterbacks against because that offense is fairly good and they can put up points. And I do definitely like that Detroit offense here against the Falcons. So because of that, I don't see why I can possibly go against Matt Ryan. All right, I love Matt Ryan. Next up, Derek Carr going against Washington. This is another good matchup here. Washington's ranked 24th in the league versus the pass. They do have Josh Norman, but that does not matter. Derek Carr and the Raiders are only 3-point favorites, so it's a fairly close game here. They expected to stay. Washington is a fairly good offense, and Oakland is not a good defense, so I can definitely expect this game to be a good one to target, and I think it's going to be one of the more low-owned games to target. So I like Crabtree. I like Cooper. I like Crowder on Washington. I like a bunch of people in this game. Washington's offense isn't super sexy, but they're going to put up points against Oakland, so I definitely like that matchup for Derek Carr. He will definitely be somebody I consider at 68. Cam Newton, keep an eye on him. I know he got banged up last game. I don't think he's going to miss this game here, but just keep an eye on it. If he does play, he's going to be a great play against New Orleans. I don't see why you can't play him. I mean, New Orleans is dead last in the league versus the pass. Carolina is 6-point favorites, so it's not super, super high, so they're expecting this to stay fairly close at least. Cam Newton's a good option against New Orleans. Every quarterback is good against New Orleans. My grandma is great versus New Orleans. So it's a good matchup there for Cam Newton. New Orleans has been giving up 291 passing yards a game to quarterbacks so far this year, and they're allowing 2 passing touchdowns a game as well. So that's a great situation. On top of that, Cam Newton, the past 2 years, is averaging 29 points against New Orleans, which is crazy. He scored a 32 and a 40 in 2015 and a 30 and a 12 last year. So he's been putting up a lot of points versus this New Orleans team. I love Cam Newton at 6,600. He's in a great position here, man. Next up, Phillip Rivers going against Kansas City. Now, this isn't a guy I'm too high on because Kansas City's decent, but their secondary is ranked 23rd in the league so far this season. So Phillip Rivers is going to have some holes in that defense. Obviously, Keenan Allen's a good guy to pair with him if you decide to go with him. But like I've mentioned, there's so many good options on this slate for not for much cheaper, but for cheaper in general, that there's no reason to really pay up for quarterback in this slate, unless you're going to pay up for Matt Ryan, who's in a great position, Derek Carr or Cam Newton. I like those guys. I wouldn't pay up for Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't even pay up for Tom Brady in his matchup either. So Phillip Rivers is in a decent situation. Kansas City will definitely score on the Chargers. So it's a good situation for Phillip Rivers, who are getting 3 points in this game. So Kansas City is the favorite here in this game. I expect Phillip Rivers to have to throw a lot. He is a solid option at 6,400. He's also a guy I don't expect to be played that much. All right. Next up, Russell Wilson against Tennessee. There's not much to love about this game, really. I mean, Wilson's an okay option. Tennessee is nearly last. They're ranked 30th in the league versus the pass. So Russell Wilson's in a good little position here. And the Seahawks are getting 3 points. Okay? They're getting 3 points here. So Russell Wilson is in a solid position, but this game really is just not sexy to me much. I will not get involved in this game, really. It's just nothing sexy about it for DFS purposes. I really don't care about it, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. Ben Roethlisberger versus Chicago. This is a good matchup, okay? Ben Roethlisberger is going to be able to do whatever he wants against Chicago. Chicago's allowing over a passing touchdown a game to quarterback, a little over a passing touchdown a game to quarterback. So Ben Roethlisberger, I can definitely expect him. I can see him throwing one or two against this bad secondary. They're ranked 22nd in the league versus the pass. So Ben Roethlisberger is a solid option, but like I said, man, this guy under him is the reason why I don't want to pay up. At 6,200, Matthew Stafford going against my Atlanta Falcons, one of my favorite quarterbacks on the slate, if not my favorite, complete favorite here in this one, okay? Detroit's getting 3 points, so they expect this game to stay fairly close in Detroit in the Dome. Stafford plays better at home. They're projected to drop 23.5 points. Obviously, there won't be a point in there, but, you know, you got to be specific when it comes to Vegas. But they are projected to score a good, solid amount of points. Obviously, Matt Ryan and the Falcons are projected to win this game, so they're projected to score 26.5. But all in all, I absolutely love both quarterbacks here. I love Matthew Stafford. I love Matt Ryan. Matthew Stafford is my go-to guy this week. I love Matthew Stafford to death against Atlanta. Next up, Jay Cutler going against the New York Jets. The Jets have not been a good team here. I think it's going to be a lot of Jay Ajayi in this matchup. I think both teams are just going to run it a lot. Miami squeaked away with the win, but they're both just not great. Miami did not look great. Cutler was rusty. So I'm not spending $6,100 on him. Kirk Cousins going against Oakland. I do like that. Because Oakland is not good against the pass, and they score a lot of points. So Kirk's going to have to throw a lot of points. I like Kirk Cousins at 6,100. Jameson Winston going against Minnesota. No, thank you. In Minnesota, no, thank you. I will have 0% of Jameis Winston, and I will be super happy about that. Next up, Marcus Mariota going against Seattle. Another no thank you to me. Going against Seattle, very, very good defense. No, thank you. All right. Carson Wentz going against the Giants. Now, this is a tricky little situation here. I really do not like him because the Giants are not bad versus the pass. In this game in general, it's another one of those games that I really just do not care about watching or playing any guys out of it. Okay, honestly, both sides of the ball, honestly. I could definitely make a point for Odell Beckham, obviously, but still, at 5,900, I would rather just pay a little bit more and go my boy Matthew Stafford. But hey, if you have a reason why you like Carson Wentz, let me know in the comment section. All right, we'll touch on a few more guys at quarterback because we're getting real low down here. You've got Trevor Siemian going against Buffalo. Siemian has looked like Peyton Manning reincarnated this year so far. He's been actually looking very good. Going against Buffalo, though, I don't know if I'm too big on that matchup there. They're ranked 8th in the league versus the pass. Okay, and Denver is only projected, they're only giving 3 points to Buffalo here. So they're projecting it to stay fairly close. I don't know, man. It's in Buffalo, so yeah, I can expect Buffalo to come out hyped up, but I am not feeling Trevor Siemian at 5,500. Another guy, Andy Dalton. I talked about this before. I expect Green Bay to get up in this game and Andy Dalton to have to wing it. I do like Andy Dalton, AJ Green pairing here. I definitely do because, like I said, I expect them to have to throw the ball. They have not looked good this year. I expect AJ Green to have his first big game of the year and be very, very solid and look like the old him here in this matchup. I'm not saying Cincinnati wins the game, but I think this is the time for that offense to kind of get it rolling here. They're going to have to. They're going to have to be throwing it a lot here. And so for that reason, at 5,100, I do like Andy Dalton. All right, and that's it for quarterback. We're going to go ahead and move on to running backs, guys. At the running back position, we've got some good, solid little plays here. I expect Pittsburgh to get up, obviously to get up in this game, and a lot of Le'Veon Bell. I just don't know if I'm ready to trust Le'Veon still. He still hasn't shown me any reason to give full faith into him being back yet, so I'm not playing him. Kareem Hunt going against the Chargers. Kareem is in play every week until he cools down. He has looked super, super solid. This is a game where I don't see either team pulling away. I think that the run game is going to be heavily involved here. A lot of Melvin, a lot of Kareem. So definitely like Kareem Hunt at 8,000. Jay Ajayi versus the Jets. I talked about it when I was talking about Jay Cutler. I think there's going to be a lot of running on both sides of the ball here. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and Jay Ajayi is going to get like 25 to 30 touches. That's what I'm seeing here in this matchup. At 7,700, I can definitely see it. I like Jay Ajayi here. Melvin Gordon versus Kansas City. I won't have much exposure to that, but I do think the run game is going to be involved in this one. I am seeing that happening, so Melvin Gordon could be a solid little option here. I'm not going to be playing him at all because I like some other options, but yeah. LaShawn McCoy going against Denver. Denver has not been good against the run, even though they looked outstanding versus Zeke in week 2, but they have not been good against the run. They're ranked 14th in the league, which isn't horrible, but they're still not good. The way to pick on Denver's defense is by running a lot on them. Okay, that's the way you succeed in that matchup. So LaShawn McCoy could be a sneaky play at 7,000. Ty Montgomery against Cincinnati is one of my favorites. Once again, he has looked amazing this year. They're getting him involved heavily in both the pass and the run, obviously. And he's going against a Cincinnati team that I'm expecting Green Bay to get up on and use a lot of Ty Montgomery. I love Ty Montgomery at 6,900. He's going to be heavily involved in my lineups. Devontae Freeman going against Detroit. This is a good little matchup here, man, because I think, if anything, Atlanta gets up a little bit here in this matchup, and a lot of Devontae Freeman is used. A lot of Freeman, a lot of Coleman, but either way, I expect this game to stay fairly close, and in situations like that, Devontae Freeman does great. Okay, he's used in the pass, he's used in the run, he's used in so many ways that he's a very consistent back. He's a guy that you can play pretty much any week as long as the matchup is decent. And going against Detroit, it is a great matchup, so I love it. Christian McCaffrey's a guy I really, really like this week against New Orleans. New Orleans is bad against pass-catching backs. Speaking of that, Atlanta is the worst versus pass-catching backs. So what does that mean? It's going to be a Theo Riddick game. I can see Theo Riddick having a very solid game, so keep him in mind. He is very cheap. But Christian McCaffrey, he's another receiving type back going against New Orleans. This is a perfect game for him. This is finally the perfect game for him to shine. I think he breaks out, and he has a very solid game in this one at 6,100. Marshawn Lynch going against Washington. It's a decent matchup. My question is, will he get enough usage that we want? It seems like they take him out after he gets a good little solid amount, and they don't run him into the ground. So that bothers me a little bit, so I'm a little worried about it, but it's a solid matchup for sure. Dalvin Cook going against Tampa Bay. Now, I think this could be a very solid play. I think Minnesota gets up in this one. I do see Sam Bradford playing in this one. I hope, at least. And if Sam Bradford's playing, I like Dalvin Cook even more because I expect Minnesota to get up in this one. Their defense is very, very good, and they can be stifling to this Tampa Bay offense who looked amazing versus Chicago, but at the end of the day, it was Chicago. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. Dalvin Cook's a great play. He's going to get a lot of touches in this one. At 5,900, I love the game flow for him. All right. Mike Gillislee is a guy in the New England game that I am interested in. Like I said with Tom Brady, I'm worried that they get up and they do a lot of running, okay? And it's not the sexiest matchup that I would want Tom Brady to be in. And he hasn't really racked up the fantasy points the way we would want him to the last few years against Houston, okay? Mike Gillislee should get a lot of run on the ground in this one against Houston. They have not been good against the run this year. It's a great situation, man. I think Mike Gillislee ends up he might even get in the end zone a few times from pounding it in the red zone. So I like Mike Gillislee a lot. I will be playing him. Tyreek Cohen, man, he showed again. I mean, he didn't have an outrageous game, but he showed again. He's used heavily in this offense, and I expect this to be another game that he is very heavily involved in against Pittsburgh. It's a matchup where Pittsburgh's going to get up, and they're going to have to involve the pass a lot. And what does Glennon do nearly every throw? He checks it down to the running back or somebody who's super close. He is like scared to death to throw it past 20 yards. So Tyreek Cohen's going to get a lot of involvement here at 5,600, and DraftKings is PPR, so I love it. All right, let's keep going. DeMarco Murray against Seattle, no thank you, and he's questionable. so I'm not interested in that. James White, game flow does not equal out into his favor. Theo Riddick at 5,100. I already mentioned him earlier on in the running back when I was talking about running backs. I love Theo Riddick in this matchup. Atlanta is bad against pass-catching backs, and Theo Riddick gets involved in this offense. And in this type of matchup, it is a perfect one for him. I can see him having a huge game here, guys. Theo Riddick at 5,100, one of my favorite running back plays on the slate. I think he has a very good game here. All right. Another guy that I really care to talk about, Chris Carson. I told you guys about Chris Carson. I told you if you don't have Chris Carson, go pick him up. He's going to be the running back of the future for Seattle. They're going to get him involved sooner the better, okay? And he got involved last week, and he looked very, very good. Chris Carson's going to be a solid play versus Tennessee. It looks like they're going to use him a lot here. And Chris Carson's the running back of the future there, like I said. If you picked him up in your fantasy leagues, you're going to reap the rewards. And I'm glad you listened, and I'm glad you got him. I told you guys, Chris Carson's going to be solid, man. I know my shit. If you haven't picked him up yet and he's still on the waiver wire, go scoop him up now. I think this is a good game for him to really break out and have a solid game at 4,900. I like it. Another guy that I'm interested in, Isaiah Crowell, could be a good little sneaky play against the Colts. Colts are not good versus the run, but that's the kind of a game I'm going to be avoiding. I do like Higgins, who popped out of nowhere. Wide receiver for Cleveland. I'll touch on him in a second. But wide receiver for Cleveland, he looked like he had a great rapport with that quarterback. Okay, he was absolutely tight. Because what it is both these guys were on the practice squad together. And they practiced together every day. So they got used to each other. Okay, that's the thing. So if Kaiser is out and does not start, Higgins is going to be a beast in this matchup. But if our boy starts, okay, then Higgins will not be a great play, and I will not be playing him. But, like I said, if Kaiser does not start and happens to sit in this one, because the other guy looked very, very good, okay? So if he does sit, this guy's got a good rapport with Higgins. So play Higgins if Kaiser's out, all right? Some other guys I'm interested in. Jonathan Stewart could get a lot of run here against New Orleans, but I'm more leaning towards a Christian McCaffrey type day. Amir Abdullah, I'm loving Theo Riddick. Jaquez Rogers, I understand he's going to get a huge workload, but going against Minnesota, I don't really target anybody against them. They're a very solid defense. And that's it for running back, guys. Oh, one more, and I actually really, really like him. At 4,500, Chris Thompson. Looked very good last week. He finally blew out. I've always known he's had it in him. He's a very good receiving back, very quick, got great moves, good hands. He catches the ball well. He's at home in Washington going against Oakland. Perfect matchup. Another matchup just like Theo Riddick. Great game flows. Bad defense against pass-catching backs. I think Chris Thompson has a very solid game here. I love him. All right, and that's it for running backs. Let's go ahead and cover wide receivers, and then we'll touch on tight end defense fairly quickly. All right, at wide receiver, Julio Jones going against Detroit. Like I mentioned, Darius Slay is a solid cornerback, and he will be putting pressure on Julio, but nobody can stop Julio. But is it okay to spend $9,300 on him? I don't know. I probably will have a lineup, at least one lineup with a Matt Ryan Julio combo, because they can literally take down a tournament by themselves. Okay, so they've got tremendous upside, so I probably will. But I do think that Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel get involved well in this game as well. Okay, I definitely think that. So keep a mind on that. But, of course, Julio's in play every week. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. They could triple team him. It doesn't matter. If you have Julio in your fantasy league, you start him every week. Don't try to get cute. In DFS, the beauty of DFS is we don't have to if we don't want to. So majority of my lines, I will not. Speaking of that, if you guys want to join the squad on the lines, we killed it week 2. We're going into week 3. We're going to kill it. Go to greenlightdfs.com and join the squad, man. I send lines out Saturday night, all right? So get in on that. Antonio Brown versus Chicago, that's a fantastic matchup against Chicago, but Chicago's offense isn't very good, so how much will they really have to throw? But it is a fantastic matchup for Antonio Brown. I absolutely love him. Odell Beckham, I mentioned him when I was talking about this game, and I mentioned Carson Wentz in this game flow. This is a game I'm not going to get involved with much, but if you do want to play Odell, I'm not going to fault you for it. He is Odell Beckham. AJ Green, I really, really, really love at 8,100. Okay, I'd rather save 1,200 and get AJ than spend up that 93 and get Julio. AJ is going in a situation where they're going to be behind a lot. And I can see an Andy Dalton and AJ Green stack being a little sneaky stack here in this one, because I expect Green Bay to score with ease at home in Green Bay, of course. And AJ Green get involved a lot in the pass game. They're going to have to throw it up a lot to him. It's going to be a good situation for AJ Green. I love him at 8,100. Mike Evans versus Minnesota. It doesn't really matter because Mike Evans is a beast. Pretty much he's the only guy on Tampa Bay I would care to even consider starting, and still I would only do that in GPP. I wouldn't play him in a cash game because it is a bit of a risk. Minnesota's very, very good. But still, 7,500. Mike Evans is a monster. He's big. Deshaun Jackson being on that team really is making a difference. He's not allowing. Him being there is not going to allow defenses to double team Mike Evans. So that's a great situation for Mike Evans. It's a less than stellar matchup, obviously, but Mike Evans can still be in play in GPP. A lot of people are going to fade him. All right, Michael Crabtree against Washington. Like I said, that's a shootout-ish game. I do like that game, and I like Crabtree a lot. Brandon Cooks going against Houston. No, thank you. I already talked about that game. I know Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but I don't think he has to get involved enough to really matter for Brandon Cooks at 7,300. Keenan Allen. I like this game as well. Okay, I think Keenan Allen connects with Phillip Rivers, your boy, a lot here. Now, does he go crazy and really meet value at 7,200? Highly unlikely, and there's other options that I think will. Michael Thomas versus Carolina is a great play. I think he's a very solid play. I think New Orleans is going to have to throw and keep up and keep this game close. I think Michael Thomas finally gets involved a good amount here. Golden Tate against Atlanta. Slot receivers do very well versus Atlanta and pass-catching backs. I think Golden Tate has a huge game here against Atlanta. I love him at 6,900. Jarvis Landry going against the Jets. Another good matchup. The thing is this game is so low scoring that I'm iffy on it, honestly. I really like Jay Ajayi, honestly, in this game. I like Bilal Powell in this game, but I'm not too involved in the pass game. Obviously, Kelvin Benjamin going against New Orleans is a good play. New Orleans is always a good play to play wide receivers against. Tyreek Hill, I'm a little iffy, but it is a solid matchup. Stephon Diggs, yes, please, especially if Sam Bradford is back. I will take some Stephon Diggs against Tampa Bay. Doug Baldwin against Tennessee, that's a tough one. That's really a tough one. Like I said, this game doesn't really intrigue me, so I won't have much exposure. Devontae Parker versus the Jets. Solid matchup, once again, just like Jarvis. But will these guys really have to throw it a lot? I just see a lot of running in this game. I honestly do, man. DeAndre Hopkins versus New England. Now, this is something I love. Hopkins has been getting targeted a lot in this past game and is against New England, so you know Houston's going to have to throw. I love DeAndre Hopkins at 6,200. Love him. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about some other guys that I really care about. Adam Thielen, obviously, if Sam Bradford's back, I like him. Let's talk about some other guys. Ty Hilton, I'm not interested in any of these Colts wide receivers until Andrew Luck comes back, so no thank you. Brandon Marshall hasn't shown anything yet. Jamison Crowder, great play at 4,900 going against Oakland. I love him. Corey Coleman broke his hand once again. He's like the most unlucky football player on the planet. This dude's always getting hurt. Kenny Britt gets a boost in usage here. I like Kenny Britt a lot, but Higgins mainly if they don't start Kaiser. All right. Kenny Golladay could be solid. Like I said, that's a shootout, man. I'm getting involved in the Atlanta-Detroit game as much as I can. Some other guys, Jermaine Kearse has been getting involved a lot in that Jets offense. He could get enough to return value at 46. He's good value. Mohamed Sanu, I mentioned Darius Slay on that Detroit secondary. It's going to open up a little bit for Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel. I definitely like Mohamed Sanu. I do like him at 45. He is very cheap. Kendall Wright, I expect some of these Chicago guys to start getting a little more targets here. All right, Miller did solid. He got some targets, but I expect Kendall Wright to really start getting some targets in that offense. They're going to have to throw a lot to keep up. I like Kendall at 4,300. Some other guys that I care about, Marvin Jones is even in play. I mean, everybody from these games are in play. Some Ted Ginn Jr. could be a nice little play here, man. As we know, he played on Carolina. So this is a good little matchup here, man. A little revenge game maybe. I don't think narrative really matters in this one, but Ted Ginn's a very good option here against Carolina. They're going to have to throw. I think both these teams are going to have to throw, so I like it a lot. Like I said, Kenny Britt's a good option with Coleman going down with another broken hand. Taylor Gabriel, I mentioned him, but he's GPP only, man. He's a flyer. He's a guy that you hope that he puts up points, but you definitely don't want to play him in cash. And that's about it at wide receiver. Let's go ahead and touch on tight ends real quick, and then we're going to cover defenses. Rob Gronkowski seems to be the softest football player in the league. He's always hurt. He's always missing time. Something's always wrong with him. So, again, against Houston, I don't think they're going to have to throw that much. So, please, I don't want any Rob Gronkowski. He's ridiculously priced for a banged-up little crybaby. Not crybaby, because he is always getting hurt. I'm not going to say he's just coming up with it, but still, he's pretty soft. Let's be real. He's pretty soft. Zach Ertz against the Giants is a good one. Giants are very bad versus tight ends. They give up a lot to tight ends. So that game against the Giants in Detroit was a tight end battle. Ebron and this guy and the Giants tight end, both of those guys did solid. Ingram and him both did solid. So I think Zach Ertz has a very good game here in Philly. I will be playing him. Greg Olsen's on the IR, so that's sad. So that boosts Kelvin Benjamin, obviously. That boosts our boy McCaffrey. I like those other guys on the Carolina offense to really make up a good little chunk of offense with Greg Olsen missing. All right, Delaney Walker, no thank you. I'm not really feeling the matchup. Kobe Fleener versus Carolina is definitely in play. I could definitely see him getting a touchdown here against Carolina. Some other guys, Austin Hooper in this matchup. He's a solid little match. He didn't do much last week, but he could get a TD here for sure. Jack Doyle is one of my favorites. Cleveland is bottom in the league, if not last in the league when it stops to stopping tight ends. Jack Doyle's been getting involved a lot from Brissett. They love each other. This dude gets targeted every single time Brissett hikes the ball. So I love Jack Doyle at 36. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups. And Eric Ebron is another guy to play. I like Eric Ebron in this matchup. Like I said, I like all those guys from both those teams. Evan Ingram, solid little matchup against Philly. Jared Cook, another solid matchup against Washington. And that's about as low as I'm going to go. Honestly, guys, I'm going a lot Jack Doyle. I love Jack Doyle at 3,600. Last but not least, let's talk about some defense matchups. Patriots versus Houston, I love it. They are my favorite defense on this slate at 3,800. Like I said, I expect Patriots to get up quick. Houston have to struggle and force stuff, and that turns into great DFS points for us. So I like the Patriots D. Dolphins versus the Jets, another solid little option. Some other guys that I care to play. Steelers defense versus Chicago could be very solid. Some other guys. Cincinnati's offense has been bad, but I think this is where their offense kind of gets it going here against Green Bay, so I'm not interested in Green Bay. Some other guys that we could possibly go. Really, it gets very thin. I mean, a lot of people are just going to rely solely on honestly, the Patriots are pretty much my main defense. I'll probably just put them in everything at 3,800. I like their upside in this matchup against Houston. I definitely do. But, yeah, there's nobody else. I like New England and the Steelers. Obviously, Seahawks are always in play. I do like the Seahawks versus Tennessee, but still, I like Steelers and Patriots. Those are the two defenses I will be targeting in my lines. And that's it, guys. Good luck, everybody. I hope I was able to help out, get you guys leaning towards certain people. Comment in the comment section any questions you have. Remember, go to SoundCloud, search for the Fantasy Locker Room Podcast. Check out the new podcast. We're going to get in even deeper detail, me and my co-host, which is also my uncle. So we have a great connection. Everybody loves the podcast. Make sure you go check it out. You're going to definitely want to be in there. All right, so go check that out. Follow me on SoundCloud, the Fantasy Locker Room Podcast. Like this video, comment DFS Squad giveaway in the comment section to enter your name in the giveaway. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out.